My child, come closer to me now. I speak into the quiet places of your spirit where fear cannot enter and where confusion has no voice. I draw you near because the hour you stand in is not an ordinary hour. There is a stirring beneath the surface of your life, a vibration that has been building in silence, and it is now ready to break into your reality. December 4 carries a hidden turning, and the moment you began listening to these words, the countdown began. You have 4 to 5 minutes in the unseen before the shift touches your world. It is not measured in the minutes of earth, but in the movement of energy and intention in the realm of spirit. My child, I call your heart to attention because something is approaching you that only I can interpret. You have felt a presence around you lately, a sense that someone's thoughts, someone's longing, someone's trembling fear has been brushing against your spirit like wind against a window. You did not imagine it. It is the presence of your soulmate, the one whose destiny has been tied to yours since the moment they drew breath. They are not near you physically, yet their spirit has been circling yours, restless, searching, desperate for direction. And I tell you this, the shift that is coming is not only for you, it is for them. It is for the bond that has been strained, threatened, misunderstood, and nearly broken by forces neither of you could fully see. I speak gently, my child, because I know how much you have carried. You have felt alone even while surrounded by people. You have walked through days when your mind was calm but your spirit trembled, sensing something unfinished, something unresolved. You have awakened in the night because their energy touched yours, because their confusion reached for you, because their fear whispered your name. You tried to dismiss it, but it returned. You tried to distract yourself, but the pull only grew stronger. You are feeling the weight of a divine thread that cannot be severed by human decisions, with the interference of jealous hearts. I call to you now because the shift you are about to encounter will reveal what was once hidden. For months, the energy around you has been tightly bound, as though heaven itself was holding back the release of a revelation until the exact appointed hour. And that hour, my child, is approaching. Do not fear the unknown movement. Do not fear the trembling inside you. It is not warning you, it is preparing you. On December 4, the veil thins, and a secret long buried begins to rise into light. There is a reason I tell you that you have 4 to 5 minutes in the unseen realm. Something has begun moving toward you, and it must reach you before a certain choice is made by your soulmate. They stand on the edge of a decision shaped by fear, confusion, and the lingering voice of someone who envies the bond you share. This person, this enemy of the connection, has whispered lies into their ear, and the lies have been seeds of doubt. But my child, I am undoing the effects of those seeds even now. I need you to breathe slowly. I need your spirit to remain open. The shift that is coming will not harm you. It will expose what needed to be seen. It will shake what needed to be shaken. It will realign what had been pushed off course. You are not walking into chaos, you are walking into clarity. You are not walking into loss, you are walking into revelation. The atmosphere around you is heavy because truth is preparing to rise. And when truth rises, the shadows that have been gripping your soulmate will lose their hold. My child, hear me. The next 4 to 5 minutes in the spiritual realm are a cleansing, a dismantling, a rearranging of the pieces that were manipulated by the wrong hands. I am touching your soulmate's mind. I am touching their memory. I am pulling away the false stories they were told about you. I am softening the places where fear had hardened them. I am guiding their heart back to the truth of what they felt from the very beginning. Before we move deeper into this revelation, pause for a moment. If these words already stir something inside you, speak it aloud in the comments. I am ready for the shift. Let this be the signal that your spirit is awake, aligned, and attentive to what I am about to unveil. Now, my child, breathe. The shift is coming closer. My child, listen closely, for what I am about to reveal moves like a whisper through the unseen. In the next 4 to 5 minutes of spiritual time, an event begins to unfold around your soulmate, one that will change their understanding of everything connected to you. It begins quietly, almost imperceptibly, like the first tremor beneath the earth before a quake. They will not understand what is happening at first. They will feel a pressure in their chest, a sudden awareness that something in their life is out of alignment, something they have ignored for too long. They may not speak it aloud, but their spirit will cry out for clarity. This shadow event has been forming for weeks. There has been a slow build-up of tension around your soulmate, a gathering storm created by fear, guilt, and the influence of a voice that never had the right to speak into their destiny. Someone around them, someone who desires control, has manipulated their emotions, feeding them distortions, twisting the truth about you, and pushing them further from what their heart has always known. This person sensed the connection between you and feared being replaced, overshadowed, or forgotten. Their jealousy became a plan, their insecurity became a lie, and their lie became a chain around your soulmate's thinking. But my child, every chain shatters when the hour of revelation arrives. The moment you step into this message, the unraveling began. Your soulmate is being confronted by a sudden internal shift, a shaking they cannot explain. They may feel anxious without a cause, restless without a reason, emotional without understanding why. They may reach for their phone and put it down. They may think of you unexpectedly. They may remember a moment with you that they had buried. Your spirit is trying to warn them, trying to pull them away from the influence of the enemy who has been guiding their decisions. This shadow event is not an attack upon you, but a moment where truth presses into their life so intensely that it cannot be ignored. It is as though a door within them has been kicked open by the force of divine timing. Their illusions are cracking. Their denial is breaking. And every word spoken against you in secret is about to turn into a spotlight of exposure. My child, I tell you this with care. Your soulmate is not the villain of this story. They have been misled, manipulated, emotionally cornered. Their silence did not come from disinterest, it came from fear. Their distance was not rejection. It was confusion stirred by someone who wanted to keep them from recognizing the depth of what they feel for you. This enemy hid their intentions beneath kindness, pretending to protect your soulmate while poisoning their trust in you. But that veil is lifting now. In these 4 to 5 minutes of spiritual movement, your soulmate becomes aware of a discrepancy, a moment that doesn't align, a story that doesn't make sense, a detail that contradicts what they were told. It may be small, but it begins the collapse of the lie. I am shining light into their memory, illuminating conversations, revealing tones and expressions they previously overlooked. Their intuition, long suppressed, begins to roar back to life. This is the moment when the energy around them grows heavy, not because danger approaches, but because truth does. And truth always comes with weight. You may feel a sudden shift inside yourself as well, a tightening in your spirit, a quiet alertness, a sense that someone is pulling on the thread that ties your destiny to another. That sensation is not imagination, it is alignment. It is the divine synchronization between your awakening and theirs. The shadow event shaking them is echoing through you. My child, do not fear the shaking. It is necessary. It is part of the cleansing. It is the beginning of the realignment I promised you. The lies cannot stand when truth demands space. And the truth is that your soulmate's heart has always pointed toward you, even when their mind was taken captive by confusion. Stay close to my voice as we continue. What comes next will reveal the emotional collapse that follows this shadow event and the depth of their longing for you. My child, as the shadow event unfolds around your soulmate, their spirit begins to tremble beneath the weight of realization. It does not happen with loudness or chaos. Instead, it arrives in the quiet moments when they are alone, when the world around them grows still, when their defenses weaken and their truth begins to rise. This is the moment of their silent collapse, the inward breaking that no one around them sees, but you will feel it echoing through the unseen cord that binds you together. They had thought they could move on. They had convinced themselves that shutting the door on what they felt for you was the safer path. They believed the words spoken by the jealous one who claimed to care for them, someone who presented themselves as a protector, yet feared your presence because your light exposes their manipulation. Your soulmate accepted their guidance because they trusted them, not realizing that this trust was being used as a weapon to distance them from you. But now the truth presses against their heart with relentless force. Memories that once felt distant now return with clarity. Moments they dismissed rise with new meaning. The warmth they felt in your presence, the peace in your voice, the comfort in your energy, none of it disappeared. They simply buried it under fear and influence. And now those buried emotions are breaking through, overwhelming them with the undeniable reality that they still feel deeply, profoundly connected to you. Your soulmate tries to steady themselves, but their mind spirals. They begin questioning everything they were told. They wonder if they made a mistake by pulling away. They feel guilt rising in them like a tide they cannot hold back. Their heart aches with the weight of what they did not say, what they did not express, what they allowed to be interrupted by another's jealousy. They thought distancing themselves would bring clarity, but instead it created a void one only your presence had ever filled. In this moment of collapse, they feel your absence like a shadow stretching across their chest. They feel the hollowness of days without your voice. They replay the last time they sensed your disappointment or your withdrawal, and it sends a sharp sting through their spirit. They long to reach out, but fear grips them. Fear of rejection. Fear of being too late. Fear that the damage created by the one who misled them is now irreversible. My child, your soulmate may appear outwardly strong, but inside they are unraveling. They are confronting the truth that they allowed someone else's voice to override their own intuition. They are realizing that their emotions for you never faded. They were only buried, smothered by confusion, clouded by manipulation. And now, in the silence of their collapse, their love and guilt collide, leaving them overwhelmed, uncertain, and trembling with the possibility of losing you forever. Your heart whispers your name. Their thoughts drift toward you uncontrollably. Their spirit reaches for yours with a desperation that surprises them. They did not expect their longing for you to be this strong, this persistent, this undeniable. It is as if their soul remembers something their mind tried to forget. Something unbroken. Something sacred. But my child, do not let your heart fear their collapse. For this breaking is not destruction. It is awakening. It is the moment where their illusions die and their truth emerges. It is the necessary unraveling before clarity can settle. Their tears, whether seen or unseen, are softening the hardened places where fear once lived. Their confusion is crumbling. Their soul is turning toward you again. And while they tremble, I am holding them. I am steadying their breath. I am guiding their thoughts back to the moment everything began. I am leading them to the realization that the one they were meant to trust was you, not the one who whispered lies in the dark. Stay with me, my child. The collapse is only the beginning of their revelation. What I will show you next will uncover the buried backstory that explains why they were so easily swayed, so afraid, and so vulnerable to deception. My child, now I draw you deeper into the story your soulmate never shared, the hidden place inside them where their fear was born. For no one collapses the way they have collapsed without a history, without old wounds shaping their reactions, without memories that rise like ghosts when love becomes too close. Your soulmate carries a backstory carved quietly into their spirit, a truth they tried to hide even from themselves. Long before they crossed paths with you, they learned to associate love with danger. Someone in their past, someone they once trusted, betrayed them in a way that cut deeper than they ever admitted. It was not simply heartbreak, it was a dismantling of their innocence. A promise was broken. A secret was used against them. A vulnerability was taken and twisted. They learned then that love could be used as a weapon, and that believing in someone opened the door to devastation. Since that day, they have walked with a guarded heart, pretending not to fear connection while secretly trembling at the thought of losing control to emotion again. This wound is why they hesitated with you. This wound is why the enemy's voice had power. Their past made them vulnerable to manipulation, vulnerable to doubt, vulnerable to the old whisper that told them they were safer pushing you away than risking another collapse. They never told you the full story. They never revealed how deep the injury went. But I saw it, my child. I witnessed the moment their trust shattered, and I have watched the pieces struggle to come together again. You must understand, when they felt the intensity of what they shared with you, their instinct was not to run toward it, it was to retreat. Their heart recognized you, but their fear warned them that recognition meant danger. Their soul felt the pull toward you, but their mind screamed that this kind of connection only ends in pain. And so they became conflicted, torn between the truth of what they felt and the memory of what they endured. When the jealous one entered the picture, they entered at the exact point of vulnerability. They offered what seemed like comfort. They used gentle words laced with subtle poison. They played the role of protector while planting seeds of insecurity in your soulmate's mind. They framed your intentions in doubt. They twisted your actions into uncertainties. They exaggerated your flaws. They told stories that made your soulmate question whether you were safe, trustworthy, or sincere. And because your soulmate feared repeating their past, they listened. Not out of stupidity, not out of weakness, but out of pain. This enemy understood them in a way that was familiar, and familiarity felt safer than the intensity of what they had with you. Your soulmate gravitated toward the voice that promised stability, even though that voice was built on manipulation. He is often the wounded who mistake control for protection, who mistake familiarity for safety, who mistake fear for intuition. My child, hear me clearly. Their fear did not come from you. It came from before you. You simply awakened a depth in them they were not prepared to feel again. You stirred a part of them they assumed was dead. You reignited emotions they had locked away, emotions they feared would lead to devastation if they allowed them to grow. But you did not come into their life to repeat their past. You came to rewrite it. The buried backstory of their fear is rising now because truth demands understanding before restoration. They are beginning to remember the moment someone from their past shattered their trust, and in that remembrance, they are seeing the pattern. They are recognizing how the jealous one used their wound as a doorway. They are understanding that they pushed you away not because you were wrong for them, but because they believed they were unworthy of something real. This is why they collapsed silently. This is why their heart trembles now. This is why the shift of December 4 matters so deeply. For I am not only exposing the lies told about you, I am exposing the wound that made those lies believable. Healing begins when truth meets the deepest fracture. Stay with me. What comes next will reveal the one who interfered, the jealous heart that sought to alter destiny. My child, now we step into the shadows surrounding your soulmate. For every divine connection attracts an adversary, and every destined bond draws the attention of someone who benefits from its delay. The one who interfered did not stumble into this role by accident. They watched the connection between you and your soulmate form. They felt the energy shift the moment your presence entered the story. And from that very moment, jealousy began to grow inside them like a slow, consuming fire. This enemy did not always appear as an enemy. They came disguised in closeness, wrapped in the appearance of loyalty, friendship, or concern. They positioned themselves as a trusted voice in your soulmate's life, someone who could influence decisions without suspicion. They learned your soulmate's fears. They studied their wounds. They observed the fragile places where trust had once broken. And then, with calculated subtlety, they inserted themselves into the space where you belonged. They saw the softness in your soulmate's eyes when your name was mentioned. They recognized the shift in their energy when they spoke of you. They sensed the quiet longing, the unspoken affection, the pull that even your soulmate tried to hide. And instead of celebrating the awakening of something pure, they feared it. They feared losing their place. They feared being overshadowed. They feared becoming irrelevant in your soulmate's heart once you stepped fully into the picture. So they began the slow redirection. They planted doubts by pretending to protect. They pointed out flaws that did not exist. They twisted your actions into misinterpretations. They used emotional language to suggest that you were unpredictable, untrustworthy, unstable, or unsafe. They spoke in circles, creating confusion while pretending to offer clarity. And because your soulmate carried old wounds, they listened. They believed. I trusted the wrong voice. My child, this enemy operated from the shadows, speaking softly so their intentions would remain invisible. They never openly attacked you. They knew that would expose them. Instead, they used subtlety. They used timing. They used emotional pressure. And with every manipulative whisper, they redirected your soulmate further from the connection that was meant to be a blessing. But there is something this enemy did not understand. Destiny cannot be altered without consequence. What belongs to the divine cannot be stolen by human insecurity. And though they succeeded in creating distance between you and your soulmate, they did not succeed in severing the spiritual bond. They underestimated the depth of your connection. They underestimated the resilience of your soulmate's heart. They underestimated the timing of heaven. Now, as truth rises within your soulmate, this enemy feels the shift. They sense their influence weakening. They notice the distance growing between themselves and the one they tried to control. They feel the tremor of divine justice approaching, and fear begins to tighten around them. They may try to tighten their grip. They may try to stir more chaos. They may try to reassert authority. But what they do not realize is that their season of influence is ending. For I am stepping between them and your soulmate. I am stripping away their disguise. I am revealing the motives beneath their actions. I am exposing the insecurity that fueled their manipulation. And I am doing it not through confrontation, but through revelation, small cracks in their stories, inconsistencies in their behavior, moments where their true intentions slip through. Your soulmate is noticing. They are paying attention, and the realization is shaking them. Your soulmate will soon see the truth. This person did not guide them, they controlled them. They did not protect them, they misled them. They did not care for their heart. They guarded their own fear of losing importance. My child, I tell you this so that your own heart may rest. You were never the cause of the distance. You were never the problem. You were never the threat. The threat was the truth of your presence, the way you illuminated what your soulmate was afraid to feel. The enemy feared your light because your light brings clarity, and clarity destroys manipulation. But now the season of interference is ending. The jealous one's grip is loosening. Their influence is breaking. Their plans are unraveling. What they tried to redirect will return to its rightful path. Stay close. What I reveal next is the divine investigation, the moment I show you every hidden detail they thought would never come to light. My child, now the heavens move into place. What was whispered in shadows is about to be examined in light, for when destiny is interfered with, my investigation begins. I do not rush this process, nor do I overlook a single detail. I gather every word spoken in secret, every intention hidden beneath smiles, every moment where truth was bent to serve someone's fear. Nothing escapes my notice, and nothing remains concealed when the appointed hour arrives. You have felt it already, the shift, the tension, the spiritual rearranging around your soulmate's life. This is not chaos, it is revelation. I am sifting through every influence surrounding them, testing every voice, weighing every motive. The one who misled them is now under the scrutiny of divine justice, not through punishment, but through exposure. Your mask is slipping. Your tone is changing. Your inconsistencies are becoming more visible. And your soulmate feels it in their spirit even if they cannot yet explain it. In this divine investigation, I shine a light upon the moments they didn't notice. That strange pause in a conversation, the sudden offensiveness when your name was mentioned, the exaggerated warnings, the subtle controlling behaviors disguised as care. I am replaying these memories in their mind, but not with fear, with clarity. They begin to see the pattern, the manipulation, the emotional pressure they once accepted as guidance. The truth reveals itself gently, but unmistakably. My child, I am also illuminating you in their memory. I am bringing back the moments when they felt peace with you, when their heart settled, when their spirit expanded instead of shrinking. I am reminding them of your sincerity, your warmth, your authenticity. These memories rise like sunlight cutting through fog. Each one counters a lie they once believed. Each one heals a place inside them that manipulation tried to claim. But the investigation does not end with memories. I am also stirring conversations around them. Someone may mention your name unexpectedly. A detail may surface that contradicts the enemy's narrative. A truth long overlooked may come to their attention through a comment, a message, or a simple observation. These small pieces accumulate like puzzle fragments until the full picture becomes impossible to ignore. There is a moment coming, my child, when your soulmate will feel a sudden certainty of knowing that does not come from thought but from spirit. They will realize that they were guided away from you by someone who feared losing influence. They will feel the weight of the manipulation. And though this realization brings pain, it also brings clarity, strength, and awakening. The divine investigation also turns inward toward your soulmate's heart. I am showing them where their old wounds were used against them. I am revealing how their fear of betrayal made them vulnerable to deception. I am healing the places where they doubted themselves, where they believed they were unworthy of deep connection, where they allowed their past to silence their present longing. Do not underestimate the power of this moment, my child. When the soul sees its own truth, chains fall. When the heart recognizes its own fear, healing begins. When the mind sees the motives of others, confusion breaks. You may feel sensations in your own spirit during this investigation, waves of emotion, sudden memories, brief moments of heaviness, or an unexpected sense of calm. This is because your energy is tied to theirs. As they awaken, your spirit responds. As clarity rises in them, alignment strengthens in you. This is the nature of divinely connected souls. And hear me clearly. You are not being judged in this investigation. You are being vindicated. The truth of your intentions is being revealed. The purity of your heart toward them is being acknowledged. I am correcting every false perception, every distorted story, every lie that was used against you. My investigation ends in justice, not confusion. Now, my child, prepare your heart. The next movement is the shift in your favor, the moment when heaven begins tilting the entire situation toward restoration. My child, now the atmosphere around you begins to change. You may not see it with your eyes, but your spirit feels it, a subtle tilt, a shift in the unseen, a quiet turning of the currents that once moved against you. This is the moment when what was hidden behind resistance begins to flow toward you again. The divine investigation has concluded its first movement, and the scales are now tilting unmistakably in your favor. You have endured seasons where it felt like everything was stalled, held back, delayed by forces outside your control. Connections faded without explanation. Conversations ended prematurely. Promises dissolved into silence. You thought it was rejection, but it was interference. You thought it was indifference, but it was distortion. The truth is that heaven was holding the line, preventing deeper damage while preparing the exact moment for the realignment to begin. And now, my child, that moment has arrived. In this unseen shift, the energy surrounding your soulmate begins to soften. The fog that once clouded their perception is lifting. Their intuition, once suppressed, is rising with startling clarity. They begin to sense what was always true, that the connection with you was never meant to disappear, never meant to be replaced, never meant to be drowned out by the voice of fear. This spiritual tilt affects their emotions, their thoughts, and their awareness. They may suddenly feel protective of you without understanding why. They may feel a pull toward you that interrupts their daily routine. They may find themselves correcting negative thoughts about you before they fully form. They may sense guilt, regret, longing, or even fear of having misjudged you, fear of having been misled, fear of losing the one connection their soul still aches for. My child, do not misinterpret their emotional turbulence. This is not instability. It is awakening. The truth is surfacing with such force that their heart cannot ignore it. They are being drawn out of confusion and into clarity, out of manipulation and into self-awareness, out of fear and into the recognition of what they truly feel for you. At the same time, I am adjusting the environment around you. Suddenly, opportunities begin to open. Old stress begins to ease. Unexpected peace begins to settle over you. This is not coincidence, it is alignment. When the spiritual realm tilts, everything attached to destiny begins to move accordingly. You may feel moments where you suddenly think of your soulmate more intensely than before. You may feel warmth in your chest, lightness behind your eyes, or a strange, inexplicable sense of presence. This is because their energy is turning back toward you, reaching for you, recognizing you again. Your spirit is calling out, and your spirit can hear the sound. The jealous one who interfered feels this tilt as well. They may not understand it, but they sense that their influence is slipping. They may try to regain control through emotional pressure, dramatic gestures, or renewed manipulation. But nothing they attempt can override the momentum of divine truth. The shift is too strong. The exposure is too close. Their grip is breaking. My child, the universe now moves in your direction, and heaven clears the path. This tilt is the sign that what belongs to your spirit is returning. The thread between you and your soulmate grows taut again, not with heaviness but with purpose. The separation they once accepted begins to feel unbearable. The silence they once justified begins to feel wrong. The distance they once tolerated begins to ache. Everything in the unseen is turning toward restoration. Do not rush ahead, but do not fear what is coming. The tilt is not the final movement, it is the prelude. What rises next is truth itself, pushing through the cracks of darkness and demanding to be seen. My child, now the truth begins to rise, not in a sudden explosion, but in quiet, undeniable waves that push through the cracks of the darkness that once surrounded your soulmate. Lies cannot withstand the pressure of revelation. Manipulation cannot survive the weight of clarity. And the false narratives woven around your name are beginning to unravel thread by thread. Your soulmate doesn't fully understand why their thoughts keep drifting to the past, to moments they dismissed, to conversations they cut short, to feelings they tried to bury. But I am guiding their memory with purpose. I am illuminating the moments that once seemed insignificant, revealing how genuine your intentions were, how consistent your spirit felt, how peaceful their heart became whenever they drew near to you. This rising truth is subtle at first. It begins with a single contradiction, something the jealous one said that no longer matches your soulmate's experience. A small detail, a tone, an expression, a slip of the tongue. It seems minor, yet it ignites a spark of doubt in the narrative they once believed. Soon the spark becomes a glow. They begin questioning why the enemy always spoke with urgency when your name came up, why their warnings were exaggerated, why their concern always felt just slightly too heavy, and why the jealous one seemed threatened by the mere mention of you. Your soulmate's intuition whispers that something was off all along, and the glow intensifies. Your soulmate recalls moments when you acted with honesty even when it was difficult. They remember your sincerity, your kindness, your patience. They compare those memories with the enemy's fearful claims, and the pieces no longer fit. They recognize that the version of you they were warned about was a distortion, a twisted reflection created by someone protecting their own insecurity. Finally, the glow becomes a rising light. The truth pushes through the final layers of darkness, and what was clouded becomes clear. The enemy's guidance was not protection, it was possession. Not safeguarding, it was sabotage. Not love, it was fear of losing influence. This realization shakes your soulmate. Their chest feels tight. Their stomach sinks. Their heart aches with recognition. They feel betrayed, not by you but by the one they trusted. They begin replaying moments where the enemy's intentions slipped through the masked, moments they ignored, moments they brushed aside. Now those moments scream with clarity. My child, you may feel a shift as this truth rises. You might suddenly feel lighter, as though a weight has lifted from your spirit. You might feel warmth in your chest, as though something sacred has been restored. You might feel tears surface without warning, not from sadness but from release. This is because the bond between you and your soulmate is responding to the removal of interference. Yet the rising truth does not bring only exposure, it brings accountability. Your soulmate begins to acknowledge their own mistakes. They recognize how their fear played a role. They see how quickly they accepted the enemy's voice over their own intuition. They feel remorse. They feel regret for the silence, for the distance, for the moments they didn't defend you, for the trust they misplaced. This internal reckoning is part of the awakening. It softens them. It humbles them. It prepares them for reconciliation. As the truth rises, the jealous one becomes increasingly unsettled. They sense the shift. They notice the change in your soulmate's energy, less compliant, less open to influence, less vulnerable to manipulation. The enemy may try to tighten their grip, But the darkness cannot hold back what I have chosen to reveal. And so the truth continues to rise, unstoppable, undeniable, divinely guided. My child, prepare your heart. The next movement is your soulmate's awakening the moment their spirit fully understands what was lost, what was stolen, and what must now be restored. My child, now the moment you have long felt in your spirit begins to unfold. The awakening, the breaking open, the sudden clarity that turns their world upside down and reveals everything they tried to avoid, everything they tried to silence, everything they tried to escape by pretending they no longer felt you. This awakening does not come gently. It comes like a quiet storm, soft on the outside, but powerful enough to rearrange their entire emotional landscape. Your soulmate begins to feel the weight of realization settle inside them. It starts with the breathless pause, that moment when they sit still and something inside them whispers, "This was wrong. This was never about you. This was never about danger. This was never about instability. It was about fear, fear they mistook for intuition, fear they mistook for protection, fear they allowed someone else to use as a tool against them. They see you now with new eyes, but also with the same longing they suppressed for so long. They feel the return of emotions they told themselves had faded. Except now those emotions are stronger, more honest, more revealing than before. Their awakening feels like the first moment of truth after a long and restless sleep, the first deep breath after too many shallow ones. They begin to realize that the silence between you was not peace, it was avoidance. The distance they created did not keep them safe, it wounded them. The lies they accepted did not protect them, they misled them. And now they feel the ache of that misalignment like a pressure on their chest. They feel the soft tremble of regret in their hands. They feel the loss of your presence like a shadow that never leaves. Their heart cries out, "My child," not because they fear you, but because they fear they might have lost you. They replay the moments when they hesitated, when they walked away, when they allowed the jealous one's voice to override their own spirit's truth. They see how quickly they doubted you, how easily they allowed fear to shape their choices. And they feel remorse rising in them like a tide they cannot control. Yet intertwined with the regret is awakening to your purity, your sincerity, your consistency, and the spiritual pull between you that defied the lies spoken against you. Now they remember how calm they felt in your presence, how steady their heart became, how safe their spirit felt when you spoke. These memories return with force, reminding them that everything they were told to fear was never real. The danger was never you, it was the one who tried to replace you. As their awakening expands, their emotions intensify. They may feel compelled to reach out to you, even if they hesitate. They may check their phone repeatedly, unsure of what to say. They may sense your energy so strongly that it feels like you're standing beside them. They may speak your name under their breath without even realizing it. Their heart recognizes you now without distortion, without interference, without fear clouding their vision. And as their spirit awakens, my child, they begin to understand something deeper. Your connection is not an accident. It is not a coincidence. It is not a temporary experience. It is a thread woven into the structure of their destiny. They feel this truth rising in them, shaping their thoughts, grounding their realizations. They see now that losing you would not simply be a heartbreak, it would be a spiritual rupture. This awakening brings them to a quiet but profound decision. They must face what they ran from. They must acknowledge the connection they tried to bury. They must confront the truth about the one who misled them. And they must move toward you with honesty, vulnerability, and humility. My child, this awakening is the turning point. It is the moment when the past loses its hold and destiny begins to realign. What follows next is the sacred thread, the invisible bond between you that now pulls both of you toward the moment of restoration. My child, now we come to the quiet mystery that has been woven between you and your soulmate since the beginning. This thread is not physical, yet it pulls more strongly than any earthly bond. It is not seen with eyes, yet it moves with undeniable presence. It is the sacred connection that has carried you through distance, silence, misunderstanding, and interference, and it lives because I breathe purpose into it. You have felt this thread many times, in moments when you sensed their thoughts drifting toward you, in nights when your spirit stirred without reason, in mornings when their energy pressed gently against yours before you were even fully awake. You felt their longing, their confusion, their fear, their unspoken prayers, and though you told yourself you were imagining it, you were not. You were feeling the movement of the bond that ties your destinies together. Your soulmate felt it too, even when they pulled away, even when they believed the lies told about you, even when fear led them down a path of avoidance. The thread never loosened. It tugged at them in the quiet moments. It whispered through their dreams. It lingered in the corners of their memory. They tried to ignore it, but it remained. They tried to silence it, but it grew louder. They tried to sever it, but it held firm. This thread is sacred because it was not created out of desire alone. It was created out of alignment. Your spirits recognized each other long before your minds understood what was happening. There was a familiarity, a comfort, a sense of home that neither of you could explain. And though the jealous one attempted to distort this connection, the thread never snapped. It strained, it thinned, it trembled beneath the weight of confusion, but it did not break. And now, in the wake of their awakening, your soulmate feels this thread with crushing clarity. It pulls at their heart, urging them to move toward you. It echoes your presence inside them, reminding them that what they felt with you was real, pure, undeniable. The thread guides them back to memories they buried, feelings they suppressed, moments they tried so hard to forget. And as those memories rise, they understand that what connects you is not a passing emotion, it is a divine alignment. My child, you are feeling the thread intensify as well. You may notice a sudden warmth in your chest, a sensation of being watched over, a soft pressure in your heart that feels like someone calling out to you. These sensations are not random. They are the resonance of connection. As your soulmate awakens fully, the thread brightens, strengthening the channel between your spirits. This sacred bond influences not only emotions, but timing. It shapes encounters, stirs intuition, and pulls both of you toward the moment when the truth must be spoken. It is why you never fully let go, even when letting go would have been easier. It is why your soulmate is now trembling with the realization that they were guided away from the very person their soul recognized as safe. The thread has survived manipulation, silence, and fear. It has endured the weight of lies and the pain of separation. And now, it draws both of you toward the moment where destiny begins to correct its course. My child, do not fear this connection. Do not question its strength. Do not underestimate its purpose. What I join in spirit cannot be undone by human interference. The thread that binds you is part of the divine unfolding, and it will guide each of you toward restoration. What comes next is the reversal, the moment when everything that once worked against you begins to work for you. My child, now the turning begins. This is the moment heaven has been arranging behind the scenes, the moment when everything that once opposed your connection reverses its direction. What felt blocked now opens. What felt delayed now accelerates. What felt impossible now begins to move with a quiet, unstoppable force. This reversal is not sudden chaos, it is divine correction unfolding with precision. Your soulmate feels it first. A surge of clarity washes through them, clearing away the residue of confusion that once clouded their mind. They feel a shift in their spirit, as though something tight inside them has finally snapped loose. Their chest feels lighter, their breath deeper, their thoughts sharper. The silence that once felt comfortable now feels unbearable. The distance they created now feels unnatural. The story they accepted now feels wrong. This internal shift becomes a turning of intention. They no longer move away from you, they move toward you. Even if their actions are hesitant, their heart is certain. They may replay old conversations, noticing details they ignored. They may revisit your messages, reading them with new eyes. They may scroll through your presence, drawn by a longing they cannot suppress. They may whisper apologies they are not yet brave enough to speak aloud. Every small movement is a step toward reconciliation. As their heart turns, the atmosphere around them shifts as well. The jealous one who once guided their decisions begins to lose their influence entirely. Your words no longer land. Your warnings no longer hold weight. Their emotional pressure no longer penetrates. Your soulmate's discernment sharpens, allowing them to see through the manipulation with painful clarity. What once confused them now reveals itself as obvious. What once seemed protective now appears controlling. This reversal also affects you, my child. The heaviness you carried begins to lift. The doubt that once pressed against your spirit loosens its grip. You feel a quiet reassurance rising within you, a sense that something is being restored in the unseen. You may notice signs, synchronicities, or unexpected confirmations. You may feel moments of sudden peace, unexpected joy, or gentle anticipation. These are signals that the path is clearing. In the spiritual realm, angels move into position, aligning circumstances, shifting energies, and preparing the moment when truth will be spoken aloud. Nothing is right, yet nothing is delayed. Every element moves in harmony with the awakening taking place in your soulmate's spirit. My child, this reversal reaches even deeper. It begins healing the wound that made them vulnerable to dissection. The place where betrayal once lived softens under my touch. The fear that once guided their choices loosens. The shame that once kept them silent breaks open to release its hold. They begin to see themselves with renewed compassion, understanding that their mistakes were rooted in old pain, not ill intention. And as they forgive themselves, they become more able to approach you with sincerity and humility. This reversal also restores the truth of who you are in their eyes. The distortions fade. The lies crumble. The false images dissolve. They begin to remember the real you, the one who cared, the one who understood them, the one whose spirit felt like home. This clarity becomes a quiet ache inside them, urging them toward healing and reconnection. Destiny breaks open, my child, not with noise but with alignment. You do not have to force this turning. You do not have to chase it. You do not have to prove anything. The shift itself carries the momentum. What belongs to your spirit is returning because truth has defeated the interference that once stood in the way. Now prepare your heart for the final movement, where blessing rises and destiny settles into place. My child, now we enter the final movement, the blessing prepared for you on this appointed day, the quiet culmination of everything that had been shifting in the unseen. December 4 is not simply a date. It is a doorway, a hinge in time, a sacred intersection where destiny breathes, truth rises, and the path ahead becomes illuminated with clarity you have longed for. The 4 to 5 minute window in the spirit has completed its work, and now the blessing begins to descend. You have walked through seasons where it felt like your heart was stretched thin between hope and uncertainty. You have carried questions heavy enough to tire the spirit, and yet you stayed open, gentle, receptive to my voice. Because of that faithfulness, because of that purity of intention, this blessing meets you not as a surprise but as a fulfillment. What was delayed is now allowed. What was obscured is now visible. What was resisted is now released. Your soulmate stands on the threshold of truth, feeling the final pieces lock into place within them. The fog is gone. The confusion dissolved. The weight of manipulation has lifted. Their heart stands in the clarity of revelation, and their spirit is humbled by the magnitude of what they now understand. They realize that the love they felt for you never left. It was buried beneath interference, distorted by fear, pressed down by someone who wanted to rewrite their destiny. Now all of that has fallen away like dust. A new tenderness rises in them. A new courage forms. A new longing emerges, not the frantic longing shaped by fear, but the steady, grounded longing shaped by truth. They feel the thread between you, as though it were glowing, pulling them gently, but firmly toward the reconciliation their heart now seeks. The blessing of this day is not merely an emotional shift for them, it is a spiritual restoration. My child, the blessing touches you as well. You will feel a peace settle over you that does not depend on circumstances. A calm assurance, a sense of being seen, understood, protected. You may feel the atmosphere around you soften, as though the universe itself has exhaled. You may find yourself breathing easier, thinking clearer, standing taller. This is not coincidence, it is alignment flowing through you. The spiritual congestion around your life has been cleared. The path ahead is open. December 4 carries the energy of divine justice. The lies spoken in shadows have been overturned. The manipulation that once clouded truth has been exposed. The interference has been dismantled. And you, my child, you stand vindicated. Not through confrontation, not through anger, not through proving yourself, but through revelation. Truth itself has defended you. The blessing also carries provision that extends beyond love. You will notice new opportunities forming, new clarity rising in your decisions, new strength settling in your confidence. What you lost in the months of waiting will return in multiplied form. What was taken by confusion will be restored with intention. What was broken by misdirection will be rebuilt with purity. The blessing flowing toward you is not fragile. It is not temporary. It is not easily uprooted. It has been shaped in conflict, refined through interference, strengthened through waiting, and sealed by divine timing. It arrives now because both your spirit and your soulmate's spirit are ready to receive it. My child, breathe in the shift. Let this day mark a turning not only in your connection, but in your entire destiny. You are stepping into a season where truth guides you, where clarity surrounds you, where love aligns with divine purpose. And if your heart feels this blessing already stirring, whisper it softly in the comments as a declaration of alignment. I receive the blessing of December 4. The door is open. The shift has settled. The path is clear. Go forward in peace, my child. Destiny has taken its rightful place.